Picture yourself attempting to navigate a vehicle across Earth's most frigid expanse, a continent where the mercury plummets to an astonishing 70 or even 90 degrees below zero, where blizzards rage for days and a minor mechanical glitch could spell certain doom, leaving you stranded amidst thousands of kilometers of unforgiving ice. Yet, it was in this very crucible of extremes that the Soviet Union forged one of history's most astonishing vehicles. They engineered a colossal, tracked behemoth, not only able to haul immense quantities of provisions and conquer raging snowstorms, but also to function as a mobile sanctuary and research hub for the intrepid scientists journeying within its metallic shell. Part tank, part polar transport, part roving scientific outpost, its ultimate mission was clear: to tame Antarctica's desolate heart. And now, on Motor History, we delve into the astonishing saga of the Akarka, that legendary Soviet marvel meticulously crafted to defy and endure the planet's most unforgiving frontier, Antarctica. To grasp the genesis of this extraordinary machine, we must rewind to the mid-20th century. Specifically, 1957 marked the launch of one of history's most audacious scientific endeavors, the International Geophysical Year. Broadly speaking, this era saw brilliant minds from countless nations unite, pooling their expertise to scrutinize our planet and unravel mysteries like Earth's magnetic field. They also investigated atmospheric behavior and the climate of the polar regions. This monumental undertaking, known as the International Geophysical Year, spanned from 1957 to 1958. It drew together scientists from 67 distinct nations, solidifying its place as one of the most expansive and coordinated scientific ventures ever conceived. During that pivotal period, scores of research outposts sprang up in the planet's most isolated corners, particularly across Antarctica. These groundbreaking expeditions facilitated the study of phenomena like the dynamics of continental ice sheets and sea ice, polar atmospheric currents, and the Earth's magnetic field. This immense, global, scientific collaboration heralded a new era, laying the groundwork for countless modern investigations into our planet's climate and intricate workings. But beyond pure scientific pursuit, another powerful force was at play: prestige, international sway, and geopolitical footprint. Back in 1948, a coalition of Western nations convened to deliberate Antarctica's territorial fate. This vast, icy expanse remained one of Earth's final, virtually unclaimed frontiers. However, a crucial detail emerged. The Soviet Union found itself conspicuously absent from that pivotal discussion. For Moscow, this exclusion was utterly intolerable. If they harbored ambitions of establishing a foothold on the frozen continent, they would be compelled to unequivocally prove their capacity for exploration and operation there. Consequently, 1955 witnessed the inception of the Soviet Antarctic Expedition, an audacious scientific undertaking with the primary aim of constructing research outposts and unequivocally demonstrating the Soviet Union's ability to surpass any other global power on Earth's most inhospitable continent. Moreover, with the Cold War raging, Antarctica transformed into a potent symbol of technological and scientific one-upmanship. Every nation vied to showcase its prowess in enduring, researching, and building infrastructure amidst the planet's harshest conditions. Antarctic exploration transcended mere scientific inquiry. It served as a stark display of technological might. The inaugural Soviet teams landed on the continent in 1955, immediately setting their sights on establishing scientific outposts. Along the continent's coastline, the Mirny Station emerged as particularly crucial, evolving into a vital staging ground for all subsequent expeditions venturing deep into Antarctica's heartland. To conquer the icy expanse, these intrepid explorers relied on a surprisingly humble solution: battle-hardened Russian military trucks, veterans of the Second World War. While these warhorses had proven their mettle on battlefields, Antarctica quickly exposed their fatal flaws. Wheels vanished into deep snow, and engines gasped for life in the brutal cold. Pushing forward mere kilometers became an agonizing ordeal. Yet, amidst this struggle, a surprising truth emerged. The most effective vehicles on that initial foray were not military machines, but humble agricultural tractors fitted with caterpillar tracks. Though agonizingly slow, unwieldy, and offering no shelter from the biting cold, they possessed a critical edge. Their tracks, you see, could bite into both treacherous ice and bottomless snow. And better yet, their robust diesel engines packed enough punch to haul colossal sleds. These behemoths, laden with vital supplies, enabled the transport of fuel, provisions, and construction materials for new scientific outposts. But the Soviets quickly grasped a profound truth, that venturing into the continent's heart demanded far more sophisticated machinery. Explorers dispatched urgent dispatches to Moscow, detailing the monumental challenges they confronted. Antarctica wasn't just a frozen hellscape, it was a navigational nightmare. The entire landscape lay buried under an endless white blanket, utterly devoid of distinguishing features. Compasses spun wildly near the magnetic pole, radios sputtered into silence. Drivers were forced to rely on the sun or stars for guidance, a luxury only afforded by clear skies. And all this, mind you, while inching across treacherous terrain where a single misstep could doom the entire expedition, leaving them stranded in the icy wilderness. The verdict was undeniable. The Soviet Union desperately required vehicles engineered solely for Antarctica's unforgiving embrace. The second Soviet expedition, thankfully, brought a game-changing upgrade: new tracked tractors. Dubbed ATS, these behemoths were purpose-built to haul immense cargo through the most brutal conditions. Their secret weapon? The legendary traction system of the iconic Soviet T-54 tank. The T-54, a true titan of military history, served as a cornerstone of Soviet armored might for decades. An astonishing 95,000-plus units are estimated to have rolled off production lines. Its robust design was adopted by countless nations worldwide. Soviet engineers, keenly aware of its legendary resilience in the harshest environments, saw its potential. To conquer the Antarctic, a truly ingenious modification was devised. The tank's chassis was spun a full 180 degrees, repositioning the engine, transmission, and drive wheels to the very front. This clever re-engineering liberated the rear for hauling massive cargo or towing colossal logistic sleds. These tractors, it turned out, were vastly more effective. Far surpassing their predecessors, they enabled the crucial transport of immense volumes of fuel and provisions, essential for sustaining the remote scientific outposts. And of all the precious cargo, fuel reigned supreme. A staggering 70 to 75% of everything hauled on these expeditions was fuel, powering vehicles and, crucially, generating life-saving heat in the scientific station. Without that precious fuel, survival within the scientific stations was a grim fantasy. As the explorers pressed deeper into the continent's desolate interior, the conditions spiraled into ever greater extremes. At times, the very lifeblood of their machines, diesel fuel, would succumb to the brutal cold, solidifying completely within the tanks. Imagine that nightmare. Imagine the struggle. Explorers were forced to hack apart solid diesel, much like splitting firewood, just to thaw and make it usable. A desperate measure to keep moving. To even get going, crews frequently ignited fires beneath the engines for a pre-start warm-up. Stepping outside the vehicle in those brutal conditions was a death-defying act. Frostbite could claim you in mere minutes. But the challenges mounted. Deeper into Antarctica, their vehicles ascended to dizzying heights, exceeding 10,000 feet, where the air grew dangerously thin. This wasn't just a cold trip. It was an atmospheric battle. Unsurprisingly, the engines gasped for breath, losing power and operating at a fraction of their capacity. Engineers tinkered with turbochargers and broader tracks, but it quickly dawned on them, a radical, entirely new approach was essential. And here's the kicker. The spark for this groundbreaking Soviet machine actually sprang from a colossal American misstep back in 1940. The United States had unveiled its own massive polar behemoth, codenamed the Snow Cruiser. This was a gargantuan exploration machine, boasting enormous wheels specifically engineered for Antarctic traversal. Yet, it was an unmitigated disaster. Its massive wheels simply couldn't grip the snow. The colossal machine could barely inch forward. The Soviets meticulously dissected this monumental flop, arriving at a stark, undeniable truth. In Antarctica, wheels are utterly useless. The only practical answer? Massive tracks, much like those found on a tank. With this revelation, the Soviet Union committed to forging an entirely new breed of vehicle. Their destination for this ambitious undertaking, Kharkov, Ukraine. There, a formidable engineering plant, renowned for its heavy vehicle expertise, awaited. The Soviet government issued a crystal-clear, urgent directive. Conceive a machine capable of conquering Antarctica's unforgiving interior, and they needed it yesterday. Engineers were handed an almost impossible deadline, a mere 3 months to both design and construct this marvel. The outcome? An awe-inspiring behemoth dubbed Chanka, a name that, quite literally, translates to the woman of Kharkovchanka. The Kharkovchanka was nothing short of a mobile fortress on tracks. This colossal machine tipped the scales at roughly 35 tons, powered by a turbocharged diesel engine unleashing over 900 horsepower. Its gargantuan tracks, far longer and wider than any seen on prior tractors, were a stroke of genius. This design masterfully distributed the vehicle's immense weight, ensuring it wouldn't simply vanish into Antarctica's treacherous, soft snow. Its maximum velocity was, admittedly, rather humble, a mere 11 kilometers per hour. But blistering speed wasn't the point. What truly mattered was its colossal load-carrying capability. The Kharkovchanka was a true workhorse, capable of hauling 1 or even 2 massive logistic sleds, bearing a staggering total load of up to 77 tons. In essence, it was a colossal, tracked polar transport engineered to ferry immense volumes of fuel, food, and vital scientific gear across thousands of kilometers of frozen wasteland. But what truly set the Kharkovchanka apart was its ingenious interior. A self-contained, habitable module weighing a hefty 20 tons nestled within the vehicle. This sanctuary was completely sealed and meticulously insulated from the brutal outside world. Its walls, fortified with a 4-inch layer of synthetic wool, ensured the interior remained remarkably stable, even amidst Antarctica's most savage extremes. Astonishingly, under typical operating conditions, the cabin would only shed a mere 1 to 2 degrees of temperature daily, an incredible feat given the hostile external environment. Inside, it even boasted a dedicated sleeping quarter, accommodating 6 to 8 individuals. Beyond that, it featured a fully equipped kitchen with an electric stove, a dedicated scientific laboratory, and even a compact workshop for on-the-go repairs. Plus, it offered ample storage for all the food and provisions needed for expeditions stretching weeks into the frozen unknown. Perched on the roof was a small observation dome, a vital portal allowing occupants to gaze at the sky and navigate by the stars whenever the unforgiving weather allowed. And for clear views, the windows themselves were fitted with ingenious electric systems designed to melt away any accumulated snow, guaranteeing crystal-clear visibility. Crucially, the engine was housed inside the cabin, a brilliant design choice that permitted repairs without the life-threatening necessity of venturing into the extreme sub-zero temperatures outside. But it also created some inconveniences. The noise of the engine was constant, and the heat generated by the machinery could fill the interior with smoke and fuel odors. In addition, when the engine was off, the interior temperature could drop rapidly, badly for this reason. The team often had to keep the engine running all night to prevent the interior of the vehicle from freezing. In 1959, the Soviets decided to put their new vehicles to the test. 3 Kharkovchankas were sent to Antarctica to take part in expeditions into the continent's interior order. In one of the most important missions, a convoy consisting of 2 of these vehicles and an ATS tractor, and set out into the interior of the continent, They pulled huge sleds loaded mainly with fuel, the most important resource for surviving in those conditions. Progress was extremely slow. The vehicles traveled at barely 6 kilometers per hour, crossing a completely white landscape where there were no roads or landmarks. In addition, fuel consumption was enormous. The Kharkovchankas could consume approximately 12 liters for every kilometer traveled, an enormous figure even for a vehicle of that size of a Fuso Vanos. Mechanical problems also arose during the journey. The tracks could break before traveling 1,000 kilometers, and replacing them could take up to 5 days in extreme conditions. Despite all these problems, after 20 days of travel, the Soviet convoy finally achieved its goal. They reached the South Pole, where they even met with American scientists who were already operating a base in the area. In the midst of the Cold War, that encounter at the southernmost point of the planet had a strong symbolism. The Soviet Union had demonstrated that it was capable of reaching the South Pole using its own vehicles. For decades, it continued to participate in scientific expeditions in Antarctica. In 1975, a second generation appeared with significant improvements. It comments, the main engine was moved outside the cabin to reduce noise and improve ventilation, and an auxiliary engine was added, capable of maintaining heating and electricity without using the main engine. In total, 6 were built. U.S. Poly 3. After N3 as I can, N3 second. There was even talk of a third generation, but the collapse of the USSR put an end to the project. If you like these stories, subscribe to Historia del Motor. Activate the bell and leave a like. See you in the next.